one of the more remarkable stories and one of the more remarkable champions from last year, Galena Park North Shore, a squad that had always kind of been on the doorstep but never quite could bust through. But they bust through this year. They are the big dog champions, 6A Division I state champions, and joining us on the phone line now to talk about his 6A Division I state champion Mustangs is the head coach of the Galena Park North Shore Mustangs. It is Coach Jon Kay. Coach, so glad we were able to hook up today.
Yeah, I apologize yesterday, 100% on me, but glad we had the opportunity today.
Listen, we've all got bosses, okay? If my boss were to walk in right now and say, "Hey, I need you for a meeting," guess what? The show's over. So
yeah, well, like I said, it was a little scary for me. That was my first one. I thought I was getting fired before we did all right this year. But, hey, we got through it, and we're going to live to fight another day.
Excellent. Well, and things are obviously going well down there in North Shore Land. You guys still celebrating the 6A Division I state championship. I go back to watching the post-game show after your remarkable win over Austin Westlake, and it seemed to me that you were still kind of in a daze whenever you were being interviewed after the game. When did it finally sink in as to what had happened?
That's such a tough question. I get asked it quite often, and I think it's just we're creatures of habit, and when you're used to being in the grind and everything you're thinking about is the next game, you just kind of naturally go back to that. And it was a confusing time for us just because of the amount of work that gets put in, not just for the people playing in the state finals, but for all coaches throughout the state of the 7-day grind in the 20 weeks. It's just kind of what do we do next? And, that was it was a new experience for us. When we did win it in 2003, it was a 15-game schedule. So we had that week to kind of come back to school and decompress and clean out lockers and, celebrate with the kids and talk about things and take a picture and the things that go along with that kind of an honor. And with the 16-game schedule, you don't have that. And I wasn't prepared for that. We spent so much time with these kids, and then all of a sudden it's over. It's like stepping off a cliff. And that confusion just of, are we going to see them again? And you got 2 weeks off, and, or do we get all the uniforms back, and when's the off season? And, it was just obviously an opportunity to stop and reflect during the break. But it's just it was a kind of a surreal situation.
Absolutely. And this, your squad, I want to take you back to September 18th, and you guys are walking off the field at McLean Stadium, and you've just lost to Yule's Trinity, 42-32, to drop you to 1-3. Honestly, was there a moment at 1-3 that you go, this just may not be the year?
The answer is no. To be perfectly honest with you, and I think it's just the way that those games went early on, and we were so close. We get into a 41-40 with under 2 minutes to go against Manville. I make the decision to go for a 2-point conversion to win it because it's a non-district game. It's hot, and I thought they were going to be outstanding in the red zone, and I thought our best opportunity to win that game was to go for 2 at that point. And ball gets picked off, and they return it, and you end up losing 43-40. And then you get into the Westfield game, and our kids battled back. We took a late lead, and then they got one. Then we started to drive the field, and Ed Oliver causes a big fumble, and you were just standing on the doorstep, and we go play Euless, and you take a 5-point lead at the half, and they kind of had their way with us in the second half, and we knew we were going to have to make some adjustments. But the fact that we were just in those games, and we knew we were close. I mean, we knew internally when you're watching the video how close we were. I think we understood we had an opportunity to run the table if we were going to fix some of those things. And like I said a million times, we learned so much about our ball club that we knew if we could just address the things that we learned, that we'd have a fighting shot. And we had some breaks go our way, obviously, through the course of the playoffs, and I've been on the other side of those in my career too. But obviously, we were able to do some things at the right time to get to where we needed to be.
The thing that struck me during your playoff run is that you guys had a pretty unique playoff run for a state champion, in the sense that with a lot of teams that go and win state championships, and I think we've gotten used to when Allen has done it, they've just gone out and really bludgeoned people. You guys win by 7 against Cy Falls, a very good Cy Falls team. You guys win by 6 over an excellent Converse Judson team, and then you go to the title game, and you need overtime to take down Austin Westlake. For you, do you believe that winning close games is a skill, is something that your team was particularly adept at?
Yeah, I think, we kind of made the decision as a staff to kind of go in the direction of, to steal a baseball term, just playing small ball, of understanding that our defense was playing good, with the exception of the state championship game. Our special teams were fantastic, specifically against, the Cy Falls and the Dickinsons and the Converse Judsons. And, it was a conscious decision on our staff. And I thought our offensive staff did a great job of just keeping us in the ball games and understanding the goal of scoring more points than they. And I think sometimes teams get into that where they got to prove they're the smartest people on the field and just take shot after shot to try and get that score to where it looks good. And I thought our offensive staff did a great job of just putting our kids in position of making sure at the end of the game we had more points, whether it looked good or not. And I do. I think our kids understood that with the string of close games that we had a shot so long as there was time left on the clock, and that's just the way they played.
We're talking with Jon Kay, the head coach of the 6A Division I state champion Galena Park North Shore Mustangs here on DCTF Live. Get involved with the conversation at #DCTF Live. Coach, going into that championship game against a Westlake team that had obviously just slayed the Dragon in Allen and had kind of taken out the big bully on the block, what was your game plan going in against a really red-hot Westlake team that had to be feeling good about itself, that also had a heck of a quarterback themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I thought their quarterback was phenomenal. I was really, really impressed with their receiving core. I thought their offensive line was as well coached as anyone that we've seen through the course of the year. And defensively, we played some pretty decent defense down here, but I was so impressed with the way that they pressured Allen and the things that they were able to do in that game, and the way that, they fought themselves out of some situations against the Atascocita. And just through the course of their playoff run, I was so impressed with their football team. And obviously Coach Dodge has a great pedigree, and we knew that they were going to be that kind of game. But, for us, it was what we just talked about. It was, let's give ourselves an opportunity in the fourth quarter. Let's contain them. Let's make them throw the ball and understand that he's going to make plays. He's that kind of a caliber of athlete, and I think our kids, especially in the secondary, understood that. They completed some deep balls. They had probably 6 or 7 plays over 20 yards, and we just turned the page and went on to the next snap. And that's a lot of times easier said than done. But that was the plan, to kind of go in there and ground and pound and get him into our type of game instead of a shootout. And I couldn't have been more pleased with the way the kids executed.
Speaking of quarterbacks, you guys had quite a quarterback yourself. One of the more unique signal callers in the state, in Makai Long, a guy who quite literally is a linebacker playing quarterback. As the guy who sees him every day and sees him in practice, what sets Makai Long apart from other signal callers across the state?
Well, I think his toughness, and again, when you get to that point at 16-game season, you're essentially playing an NFL season. Nobody's healthy, but he was a lot more banged up than I think people realized, and took such a pounding through the course of the year, and was already banged up for an injury sustained at the end of the year, his sophomore year, and played with a brace last year. And there's a few times in that game where he had to come out and stretch and just get himself mentally prepared to go back in. So I don't know that everyone truly understands the amount of pain the kid was playing with. And just to see him go out there and battle, especially in some of those short yardage situations against a very, very good defense, I was proud of his toughness. And, again, that's a term that I think gets overused a lot, but it certainly fits in this situation.
The defense led the way for you guys all year long, and the guy that everybody brings up is Eric Monroe, one of the very best prospects in the nation, one of the best defensive backs you've seen in Texas high school football. This is a guy who seems to have a knack for the big play whenever you need him. For maybe people who haven't paid as close attention to Eric Monroe as you have, what are people going to see when he gets to the next level?
Well, I think what separates him is, at the next level, there's a lot of guys that are naturally God-given talent, and he's definitely one of those guys. But I've seen that before, where some people that were blessed with some certain things that others weren't, kind of rest on that and feel entitled to the success. And I think Eric, what's separating him is he's got that God-given talent, but it's his work ethic that's going to separate him. And this is a kid that, quite literally could just kind of show up to practice and not push himself and still be better than 95% of the kids that he's going to go against. But that's not him. He's in it. I got to run him out of the weight room. He's one of those guys. We'd finish our workouts during the summer. Then I'd see him over at a field on my drive home, or I'd see him running routes, or he's working, catching the ball. And, that's something that I don't think came naturally. He really taught himself how to work and how to get to the next level. And I'm excited to see how that's going to play over into this, this next level of his career.
And of course, everyone's already looking forward to 2016. You guys will enter as the defending champs. Guys like Eric Monroe and Makai Long are gone, but who should people know about for your 2016 squad?
Well, defensively, obviously he had a unbelievable state championship game in Caleb Chason, and he's going to be highly recruited, and another guy that's very, very talented, but understands what it takes to get better and work and be a leader. And so he's obviously going to stand out. We got a group of sophomore linebackers right now that'll be juniors next year that we feel really, really good about. We feel like are going to be great players. And then the secondary, we're going to return Keyston Roach and Jalen Thomas and some other guys that have some varsity experience. So there's some guys there that I feel have an opportunity to step up, along with some guys that were huge contributors this year on the defensive line, and Abril Harrison and Josh Fuentes. So, obviously we're going to miss those guys on defense that are leaving, but we've got some guys that we feel good about. Offensively, Brian Beatty got enough quarterback reps that I think he'll be ready to take the reins if called upon, and if he earns that job this spring. Also was a tremendous receiver for us, and frankly could be probably our best DB if we put him on the other side of the ball. And L. Troy Potts at receiver is going to return, and Kaeman Johnson in the offensive line. So there's enough good football players and some guys with some experience to give us an opportunity, but it's going to obviously depend on how quickly these young guys can come around.
Do you actually get to relax right now? Is there any sort of relaxation that goes on in your world?
There really isn't, and that's one thing about playing that deep is you're 6 weeks behind on off season. So it's this time that we've had since we got back to school on January 5th has just been hit the ground running. And obviously we want our kids to have an opportunity to celebrate this, especially being back with the community and being back in the school. But at the end of the day, it's about getting ready for 2016 and, just some of the logistics that you take for granted that normally get addressed during your December off season. We didn't have an opportunity, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. I don't have a problem, but it has made our January a lot more hectic so far as off season is concerned.
I suppose that's a nice problem to have. He is Jon Kay. He is the head coach of the Galena Park North Shore Mustangs, the 6A Division I state champions. Coach, thank you so much for hopping on with us. Good luck this off season, and try to relax just a little bit.
We'll get there, Greg. I appreciate everything you guys do for high school football in this state, and let us know if you need anything down in Houston.
Hey, we appreciate it, Coach.
All right.
There he goes, Jon Kay, the head coach of the North Shore Mustangs.